Hey friends, welcome back. This is me Monica Sharma and welcome to MS Bio Academy. So today we are going to talk about the immune cells. In our last video we have already covered about the immune organs and I have already told you that immune system, the word system has been given because it is actually made up of it is made up of certain different candidates like cells, organs and certain proteins. So all these people, these candidates are involved in making this whole immune system of our body, which is actually protecting our body from certain different invading pathogens and bacteria, viruses, parasites, protozoa, right? So let's talk about one of these candidates, that is about the immune cells today. So what are these immune cells are? So before going into this immune cell lesson, let me ask you a couple of questions. Let me see if you can answer them. So first question is, can you answer that which one is the first cell to arrive whenever you get any infection anywhere, like if there is a mosquito bite here or if you get a cut or a hurt somewhere, which is the first cell to reach there at that particular point? Or the second question is, can you name a bilobed nucleus containing cell which is almost 2 to 5% of total WBC, which is very least uh, amount which is present? Can you name it? Okay, let me go to the third question. Can you name the multilobe nucleus of the immune cells? Among the immune cell, which one is carrying a multi-lobe nucleus? Or can you name an innate immune cells or adaptive immune cells? Or can you tell me whether the monocytes resides in the blood or the tissues? Do you know all these answers? If you know these answers, very nice. Keep it up. And if you don't know, please don't worry. Just cover up this particular lesson. Keep on watching this lesson till the end. I am definitely assuring you that at the end of the lesson, you are going to answer all these questions like this. So let's begin this lesson of today. So what are these immune cells? Immune cells are basically those cells which are playing an important role in our body in fighting against all the different pathogens, viruses, bacteria, the protozoa, the parasites, and also against all those infected cells in our body, the virus infected cells or those which are the tumor cells, right? So basically they have a unique property, although these immune cells are not acting against our own healthy cells. So they have a very unique property. What is that unique property? Is to distinguish between the self and the non-self. So what is the self and non-self? Self and non-self means, self means which is a part of a body. All those which are the part of the body will be considered as the self, and the immune system will not generate any immune reaction against those cells, right? But whatever is not the part of our body will be considered as a foreign, and our immune system will generate an immune reactions against those foreign non-self things, right? So this is an important unique property of the all the immune cells which are present in our body. So what are these immune cells which are actually acting in our body and will are the real heroes of our body? So let's try to know about more about these heroes of our body and try to understand them. So these are the great heroes of our body which are continuously acting in our body and fighting against all these pathogens and bacteria or infected cells and tumor cells to make our body healthy and sound. So the first one is the mast cells. As you can see here in this picture, this is mast cell, and you can see there are certain granules are present. So these granules actually contains the very important molecule known as heparin or histamine. Okay, so these what it do is, whenever there is a certain kind of antigens are present, okay, so mostly those they carry receptors for this IgE antibody, and what it do is, whenever this IgE antibody will is found with an antigen complex is present there somewhere, they will find them and they will this receptor is there, so they are going to find it and bind with these antibodies. And on binding, and there is a cell, see, if this is a cell and this is an antigen over it, this IgE antibody have recognized these antigens. So since these mast cells have a receptors for these IgE antibody, what they are going to do is, on binding of these things, they are going to degranulate their content. Okay, so these granules contain some histamine and heparin, so they will generate certain allergic reactions or certain immunological reaction which will destroy the cell. So that is how the mast cells are helping, right? Then second one is the eosinophils, basophils and neutrophils. So these eosinophils, basophils and neutrophils, as you can see here in this picture, all of them contains the granules just like the mast cells. So basically these four are being categorized as under granulocytes. If you know, I have told you earlier that leukocytes, or you can say the WBC, leukocytes, or you can say them as WBC in general, they are being categorized into two, the granulocytes and agranulocytes, depending on whether they have a granules present or not when you see them under the light microscope, right? So when you will see them under the light microscope, in certain cells you will see a granules present, so they have been categorized as granulocytes, which are the mast cells, the eosinophils, basophils and neutrophils, as you can see in this picture over here. So this is the neutrophil, eosinophils and basophils. So you can see in all of the three of them there are granules are present, and these granules are rich with all these histamine, the heparin and hydrolytic enzyme. So they are going to release them and generate immune response against the different infected cells or the pathogens, right? So these three different categories of cells has been characterized depending on the staining process by different staining dyes, how they stain, right? So neutrophils generally stains neutral with the staining dye, so that's why neutrophil name has been given. And they generally are distinguished in their depending on the different lobed of nucleus are present in them. Like neutrophils generally have a multi-lobed nucleus present in them. They find many lobed nucleus, find like 1, 2, 3, 4, like, right? Eosinophils generally are the bilobed or four-lobed nucleus present, and mostly kidney-shaped nucleus is present in them. And basophils generally bilobed nucleus is present in them. They are bi or four-lobed, and right. So all of them contain the granules. So basically, they are granulocytes, right? And what is the important points to remember about these three cells are that these basophils, they are the maximum, or you can say abundantly found WBCs which are circulating in the blood among the total WBCs. So you will find some around 60 to 65%, they are abundantly found among the whole total WBCs circulating in the blood, right? So they are abundantly found, while the basophils are the least abundant found. There are some 2% only you will find in the bloodstream which is circulating, right? And moreover, these neutrophils, they are basically phagocytes. They are phagocytes in nature, so they are going to phagocyte all those cells just like macrophages. So what they do is, whenever they see an antigen, okay, when they are circulating in the bloodstream, and whenever they encounter an antigen, what they will see, what they do is, for example, this is a phagocyte. If I zoom it and show it here, so these phagocytes, what they do is, they will try to engulf these antigens inside, and they will join these regions, okay. So they are going to engulf it, they will come inside, this will come inside. Once they come inside, they will produce some hydrolytic enzymes or certain different peptide breaking enzyme which will break these antigens inside these vesicles, and this will break into a small peptides, and these peptides then being presented on the surface of these macrophages with the class 2 MHC molecules to the different T helper cells. Okay, so T helper cells have these T cell receptors which actually recognize the antigens presented by the MHC2 molecules on the macrophages, and thus These T helper cells then get activated and they will release certain cytokines. These cytokines in turn, what it do is they will activate the B cells, and once the B cells is activated, what B cells will produce, they will secrete antibodies, right? So they are going to secrete the antibodies against, which is generated against this particular antigens, right? So this is how the whole process of the immune response or the immune reaction take place by combination. Although this independent, these all immune cells are acting independently, but still collectively they are generating an immune response against these antibodies, right? So that is how they are going to work. Similarly, neutrophils are also the phagocytic cells, right? They also generate, and moreover, neutrophils important feature is that whenever you get in somewhere any cut or somewhere you get hurt, these are the one which are first going to go to the site of the that infection or the cut. Okay, so since they are abundantly found, so they are first going to go through the circulation and go near to that cut portion or the infection site. So these are the first to reach at the site of infection or the cut. Okay, and moreover, whenever they reach there, they do not return back to the blood. They die there and they form a pus over there. So what the pus you will see over there, no, that is the dead neutrophil cells, right? I hope you get this thing clear. Now coming back to the basophils. Now basophils are again, I have told you that these are least abundantly found WBCs, and they are generally, they are also play an important role in certain allergic reactions, just like the mast cells, and they also contains these granules contain certain heparin, histamine, which are playing an important role in the inflammatory responses, right? So now let's move on to the next one. The next immune cell, the next hero of our immune system is the dendritic cells. So dendritic cells got its names because they have these dendrite-like projections. Don't confuse with the dendrites of the nervous neurons which I have talked about. They have nothing to be related with the nervous system. These dendritic cells are entirely different. Their name dendritic cell is just because they have this projections from the cytoplasm like thing only, which is similar to the dendrites of the nervous system. So that's why the name dendritic cells, but otherwise there is no connection between the nervous system and the dendritic cells, right? They are completely the immune cells. They are the phagocytic cells again, okay, just like macrophages and neutrophils, they are again the phagocytic cells. Okay, so they also engulf, like this is a pathogen, they engulf it, present it on their surface to the T helper cells with MHC2 molecule and activate the B cells which generate the antibody. Next immune cell is the macrophages. Macrophages we have already talked about that how they act. They are the main phagocytic cells and they also undergo the same reactions. So they are the main heroes, right? Then monocytes. Monocyte, this particular is the monocyte. So whenever these monocytes are generally present in the blood, okay, so they when move to the tissue, they are called as a macrophage. And as you can see here, there is no granules over here, so they have been categorized as agranulocytes, right? So one of them, agranulocyte, is a monocyte, and the another one is the lymphocytes. Lymphocytes are of two types, B and the T cells. Both of them are the agranulocytes. They also do not contain any granules. As you can see here in this picture, these are the T cells and B cells, right? So B cells, we know basically they are the main important. When they activated, they form the plasma cells which then secretes the antibodies, right? And T cells are again of two types, T helper cell, the T cytotoxic cells. T helper cells are generally helping the other cells, immune cells, to get activated by secretion of cytokines, right? So they basically secrete cytokines which activate other immune cells like B cells and different other cells, cytotoxic cells, right? And T cells, TC cells, what they do is cytotoxic cells. They are the killer cells. So what they do is they kill the cells directly on activation of the T helper cell cytokine, and they kill certain virus infected or the tumor cells in our body. So this is an important role of the TC cells. So they are also very important heroes of our immune system, right? Then there are NK cells. Now these you can see here, these are the NK cells. So these NK cells are the natural killer cells. Now why the word natural killer cell has been given to them? Because they naturally kill all those virus infected cells in our body, or all those which are uh, tumor cells are present in our body. So they are going to kill them directly, uh, just like the cytotoxic cells, but the only difference is they do not need any activation to happen by means of T helper cells, just like unlike the TC cells, which needs an activation by T helper cells for them to act. Natural killer cells can directly kill them without any activation. So this is very unique property of the natural killer cells. So these are the important immune cells of our body, and they are the main heroes of our body, which are acting continuously in our body and protecting us from the different pathogens. I hope this is clear to you, right? So you can now I will tell you certain important notes regarding this particular lesson, so you can just jot it down and you can memorize them. So important questions usually come on this. So first of them is granulocytes are the granules containing cells. Okay, do remember granulocytes are those which contain granules. Basically they are neutrophils, eosinophils, basophils and mast cells. These are 4 types of cells. Then agranulocytes means which do not contain granules. A means without granules, without granules containing cells. Cytes means cells, granulocytes means granules, and A means without. So without granules containing, this is granules containing cells, right? No granules in cytoplasm, which are monocytes and lymphocytes. There are only 2 types. And lymphocytes, we know they are of 2 types again, T cells and B cells. T cells is again TC cells and T helper cells. Do remember that. Okay, although there are certain T regulatory cells are present, and there are some T killer cells are present. Okay, so that is also there. This T killer cells is different from the natural killer cells. Don't confuse with that one. Okay, this is different. Okay, so but mostly we study about the TC cells and T helper cells, right? Then there are APCs. APCs, what are these APCs? APCs, I would like to tell you that APCs means antigen presenting cells. These are mainly those cells which are actually presenting the antigens, and mainly they are macrophages, B cells and dendritic cells. So mainly phagocytic cells, you can say. So they are the main professional APCs. Okay, although there are all the nucleated cells can present the antigens except the RBCs, since RBCs does not have any nucleus. I said all the nucleated cells can present antigens, but RBCs since do not have nucleus, so they can't present any antigens in our body. Rest of the cells can present it. So the main professional APCs are these 3: macrophages, B cells and dendritic cells, which present antigen by means of MHC2 molecule. And since MHC2 is being recognized by the T helper cells, since they have the co-receptor CD4 present on them, right? And the rest of the cells, I said the rest of the nucleated cells, they can also present the antigen, but they present the antigen by means of MHC class 1 molecule. And these MHC class 1 molecule is recognized by the cytotoxic T cells because they have the co-receptor present, which is the CD8. Okay, so CD8 generally recognize MHC class 1 and CD4 recognize class 2. So these are the important points which you need to remember, right? Phagocytic cells, I said these are the phagocytic cells, mainly macrophages, dendritic cells and neutrophils. I'm sorry, I said here B cells are the phagocytic cells. No, B cells are not phagocytic cells, but they are the antigen presenting cells, right? Then these are the main phagocytic cells: macrophages, dendritic cells and the neutrophils. Then I said first cell to reach at the infection or the injured area are mainly neutrophils, as they are abundantly found WBCs in the blood circulation, right? So do remember that. And abundantly found WBCs having phagocytic nature is also neutrophils. Again, they are the neutrophils only which have the abundant phagocytic nature among all these 3 phagocytic cells. Right now, least abundantly found WBCs are the basophils. So abundantly found is the neutrophils, least abundant is the basophils. Now PML, what is this PML stands for? PML stands for polymorphonuclear leukocytes, means those which are having a multi-lobe nucleus present in them. So I have talked about that multi-lobe nucleus are present in the granulocytes, and mostly these polymorpho multi-lobe nucleus is present in the neutrophils among the granulocytes. I've told you three granulocytes: neutrophils, basophils, and eosinophils. Among them also neutrophils is the main polymorphonuclear leukocyte because they have the multi-lobe nucleus, right? Then mononuclear leukocytes is one lobe nucleus contained, which is the mainly monocytes and lymphocytes. So these are the important points which you need to remember and memorize them. Now you can just replay this video and answer all those questions which I've asked you initially in the beginning of this particular video. So I'm sure you're going to answer all of them correctly. So thank you so much for watching. See you in the next lesson. Bye.